and welcome to the Black Road Gaming Adeptus Custodes Tactica podcast. And my name is Aaron. As always, I am your host this week for the Adeptus Custodes Tactics video. And this week we're going to be looking at five top tips to score points in Warhammer 40k with Adeptus Custodes. But I will just say now, this video could be used for anybody. Anyone can use this video, anyone can look at the points that I've given, and I think that these are top tips for you to be able to score more points in your games and do better. And do you know what they say about points, people? Points mean prizes. Anyway, if you like our content, and we're so grateful, we've had a massive increase in our popularity recently, but if you want to keep helping us out and keep watching our videos, please do us a big favour, hit the like button, go off and subscribe, and please just hit that bell notification. All of this really helps us grow as a channel, and we're just loving seeing the growth and watching our community grow. Talking about community, if you want to be a part of the Black Road Gaming community, in the description below, we have a Discord link for you to come and join, and you can be a part of our Discord, and you can just chat with people. That's free. Anyone can join that. You don't have to be a member. You don't have to do any of that fancy stuff. You just get to come along and just chat to people that are on there and exhibition your work and talk about tactics and just hang out. We also need to talk about our wonderful sponsors. So we have two wonderful sponsors. Our first one is Glasshammer, and they give us 5% off every purchase you make if you use the Black Crow coupon. When you go to the coupon bit, just put Black Crow in, and that will give you an additional 5% off. Likewise with Terrain Forge, our terrain supplier, who you would have seen in our battle reports. If you go on and put BCG in there, you get an additional 5% off. Amazing terrain, fantastic people. But anyway, let's get into the PowerPoint and this week's 5 top tips to score points in Warhammer 40k. So one of the first tips I thought about was, look, you need to know the Pariah Nexus deck. That is the most important thing for you to do. And here's some little details about it. There's 7 primary missions that allow you to score in various different ways. And when you go to an event and when you go to a tournament, what's really important is that you look at what primary missions they've picked. You then, with that knowledge, can build a list which is suitable to score that primary mission. Remember, you can get a max of up to 50 points in the primary, and having an army that can really hold and score you primary objectives, that is the first step towards, scoring big. Second, there's 18 secondary objectives for you to score. So there's a deck of 18 secondaries that you may get throughout the game. 9 of those are fixed. What does that mean? You're probably saying, well, that means that you could pick 2 objectives and you can fix them, meaning that you score those 2 objectives every single turn. Now, for some people, they like to play it that way. It simplifies the game for them, but also means that they could build lists really specific to scoring those secondaries. And if you've got lists and you've got armies that are really good at navigating and getting around the board and being able to do these fixed secondaries, it's a really useful one to consider. 2 of the secondary missions, recover assets and sabotage, they happen at the end of your opponent's turn, and that's something you need to bear in mind. So when you go off to sabotage or when you go and recover assets, be warned that you need to be able to hold those points and hold that secondary until the end of your opponent's turn. So that means they've got a chance to stop you. Both of these objectives can go up to 6 points if you do them correct, to the maximum. So one is sabotaging in your opponent's home, another one is recovering an asset in your opponent's home, mid-ground, and or your deployment. But that's just something you should think about, folks, because ultimately when you take those, and if you have already got reduced models on the table because of a grind and a war of the battle, you may not have the facility to do that. 3 of the secondary missions, cleanse, containment, and establish locum, happen at the end of your turn. So that's really good. That means that you just need to get there, do the action, and then you get those points instantly at the end of your turn. Which, that's something to consider. Cleanse, obviously, you need to be on the objectives. Establish locus is about being in the center and going to the opponent's deployment zone. And containment is about being on those board edges. Action monkeys. You cannot underestimate a good action monkey. These are just cheap units you don't mind losing, but score you points. For Adeptus Custodes, we'd look at Sisters of Silence and Sisters of Battle, or other units from the Imperial Agents book. These are like 40, 50-point units you can throw to do containment on one side of the board, throw to do it on the other side of the board, and if they get shot off the board that turn, you know what? If your opponent is using their resources to kill them, you're okay with it. And that's basically what they're there for. So having cheap units, identifying what they are in your army is really useful, and make sure you pick those units that have like these additional skills. Like, can they give you sticky? Can they scout up the board? Can they infiltrate? All really good things to do and to think about. Assassins. Assassins are a fantastic use for Custodes, not just because they're actually quite good in a fight, but also simply because they're very good at getting around the board and doing actions for us. In particular, the Calidus, because of her ability to be able to be lifted at the end of your opponent's turn and come back down in your turn, it allows you to kind of be available to play these action style missions. Her small base allows you to get behind enemy lines quite easily, so she's difficult to screen out. And the Eversaw Assassin, he's a bit of a missile, yes, but he has got that pace to get around the board and to do these things for you. MSU Terminator bricks, or MSU any bricks if you're playing with anything, they're great for us because we can sit them at the back and then lift them up for an up and then bring them down the next turn. And that can sometimes play really into our hands with trying to get more points and to score points in a game. And these are just units that I think have really good utility. And why do we want these utility units? Because they're there to not necessarily do damage, but they're there to help you win the game. Venatari. Now, people will probably be like, why have I put Venatari? Venatari are infantry, so they just walk through walls, and they're fast. They're extremely fast. And they could probably get onto most points, kill most units on a point within reason, and take that spot. So they're very strong for doing that. And Venatari should certainly be considered as one of your main sources of getting you points and actions. But you're probably saying, what about all the other units out there? Look, MSU units in Warhammer 40k that are fast are excellent. And if you can have access to them and you're willing to sacrifice, I don't know, up to 100 to 150 points, they will score you points. You just have to protect them. You need to be aware that what their role is. Building lists, and I put this in my list building video, knowing what your units are doing, what their point is really important to winning a game of Warhammer 40k. Board control, massive. Knowing when to sit on objectives can make a huge difference to your game. You do not necessarily, depending on each of the primary missions, some of them may require you to hold 2 objectives, some of them may require you to not even hold your home objective. So knowing when to hold these objectives is really important. If you go second, that gives you the ability, because you're scoring at the end of your 5th turn. That means that if you need to be passive for a few turns but want to score big on primary in late game, you have more availability to do that. And that's when you need to consider, can you control the board to get to this area? What units do you have as your tools to get you there? Durable units to hold on to your objective. So some armies might not have that many durable units, but actually there's something to be said about having a brick of something that can just tank a lot of damage and be really annoying and remain there and sit on these objectives. Is there cover to help you with that as well? You know, these are things you want to consider when trying to hold a point, because Warhammer 40k competitive armies are all built to be really devastatingly killy, and you need to be able to protect yourself. Don't get me wrong, there's certain armies out there that are just deleting units for fun because they have access to rules that majority of the armies just don't have, and that can be really difficult and tough. And there's a reason why we get points changes and rules changes throughout several times a year. Can you sticky the objective? So in the recent update, like we got from the Imperial agents, Sisters of Battle have the ability to sticky an objective for us. Now in Shield Host that costs us 1 CP, and in our other detachments we just simply don't have that ability as custody players. So taking Sisters of Battle was a no-brainer for me. The ability to sticky an objective for a unit is essentially 55 points. Is wild because it means you can sticky that objective if you know that your opponent hasn't got very many options to be able to come and take that objective. You could potentially leave that being quite safe. Can you screen the units that might be coming for these objectives? Can you position yourself in a way that those 3-inch and 9-inch deep strikes aren't just landing on an objective and stealing it from you because they've got more OC? Can you put yourself in a position where actually you can stop that? And the way that you screen is quite simple. You just spread the unit out, right? There's a certain amount of coherency you need to adhere to, and that's something you can read in the main rulebook. But you can have a couple inches between each base, but there is a certain way they need to be deployed. Now, if you do that, by doing that, you could potentially protect your objectives for a whole nother turn. There's ways and there's means. Yes, someone could just charge you and jump on there. But if they're deep striking from 9 inches away, it's a 9-inch charge. So it's the odds are stacked against them. However, if it's a 3-inch deep strike and they can't get on the objective, well, they're not going to get on the objective that turn and they're not going to score those points and take them away from you. Fast units to cover large distances of the board to help achieve secondaries. Important, really important. Every unit should have a fast unit that can just ping up the board and go get you an objective turn 1. Extend battle lines if you get that, and you're in turn 1. You don't have units that have got the ability to be able to just walk onto an objective. You're going to struggle. But when you deploy, and I really hope that you understand the importance of this, do not just deploy units that have infiltrate onto objectives in no man's land. You will probably get shot, you will probably get killed, and you'll probably reward points to your opponent very easily for doing that. Positioning, extremely. Oh, sorry, I've skipped a slide. So positioning is really important. Make sure you position your units who can do actions turn 1. Very important. I like to start with units either side of my deployment so that they can just walk forward, do containment, instant 6 points. Remember certain objectives require you to hold the center board and be in the opponent's deployment zone. So you need to be positioning yourself that you can either completely hold the middle or you can get into the opponent's deployment zone easily. Keep note of what objectives are left. So the Tabletop Battles app is really useful, which is why I use it. A lot of people are like, no, I'm going to draw my cards. But if you use the Tabletop Battle app, every time you go to randomly select, you can see what cards you've got left to draw from. That is huge, because then you know what the likelihood of these cards are coming, what you're going to cycle into. And that just helps you with the game in so many ways. Secret missions and new orders, folks. So understand what the secret missions are. Have a look at what your army can do. There may be a time that at the end of turn 3, you need to decide to pull off a secret mission. And remember, it has to be done at the end of your turn 3, before the beginning of turn 4. You then pick a secret mission. I have literally designed an army before to do that same job, where you need to get your warlord on your opponent's home objective. That's really easy to do for Adeptus Custodes, and the reason that is because we have the ability to have a warlord in Terminator armor up and down and jump onto that home objective. And if your opponent doesn't know the secret missions or aren't very aware of them, yes, you could be losing, but this could be a really clutch way of you all of a sudden stealing the game from them. New orders isn't restricted to once per battle, so don't forget to cycle through your cards. Every turn, if you get a draw that you just can't do, you need to get rid of that card. Just sacrifice the CP. Ultimately, Custodes need to try and rack up points. We're in a meta at the minute where everything is designed to kill us, and it can be incredibly difficult. And this is something we need to think about, and we need to consider when we're doing it. And this has been a bit of a whistle-stop a tour really with it, you need to know that there is 4 secret mission cards as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. It's been quite quick. A short video today, and I like to pump out these little short tactics videos because they're ones that people can just pick up and have a quick read of and then leave alone. But look, if you've watched my videos, you like my videos, please feel free to leave a comment. Please please give me a like, and I hope you're all okay out there, looking after yourself. I've been Aaron from Black Crow Gaming, and I just want to say a massive thank you for watching our content. See you later, guys.